You're listening to the Screaming Pods Network.
Toy boat, 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 toy boat.
How can you do that, you fucking
alien? Toy boat, toy boat, toy boat.
I made you mess up.
Not very badly.
That's really good.
Years of singing.
Toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat, toy boat. I guess you're doing it kind of slow.
Toy boat, toy boat, toy
okay,
boat,
all right.
toy boat, toy
That's
boat.
not what we're going to do today. That's not what we're going to do.
I have a ton of them.
Yeah.
Aluminum linoleum, aluminum linoleum.
That's really
Unique
good.
New York.
Very creepy.
I'm not that creepy.
Is that something you just used to practice as a child?
Yeah, I mean, they used to make us do those types of exercises to warm up in choir, and I was in basically, I was a slave in choir. I was a child that was forced to sing for 3 hours at a time every Tuesday. We didn't do it right.
Church?
I got screamed at.
Was it for the church?
It was just like a community choir, one of those
They
state
really
honors
worked
choir.
you.
Yeah. Well,
Man.
grew up in a very competitive hometown, a little town.
Was that the creepiest thing from your hometown?
The choir? No, definitely not the creepiest.
Do you have any haunted landmarks or anything?
Oh gosh, the movie theater. The movie theater in my
Really?
hometown is notoriously haunted, and I actually had an experience there once. It was before I knew it was haunted, and a very dear friend of mine had an older sister who worked there, so that's how when I was telling her about what had happened, her sister overheard and was like, "Yeah, it's haunted. You didn't know that." But what had happened was I was actually going to the movies. Can't remember what movie, but I must have been in high school, and I remember getting up in the middle of the movie, going to the bathroom. It must have been a snow day or something. I know it was in the winter, and it was a matinee movie or something. So it was kind of empty because nobody else was really there. And I remember sitting in the bathroom stall and hearing somebody else come in and go into the stall next to me, and I'm pee shy, I'll just say it. So I remember kind of clamming up and thinking, well, I guess I'm done. And I got up to go wash my hands. And I don't know what compelled me to look underneath the stalls, but there was nobody else in there.
Weird.
No toilet flush, nothing. But yeah, it was kind of nuts. The movie theater of all places. I don't know what the story is behind it, but yeah.
That's really weird.
For those of you joining us for the first time, my name is Jill.
And my name is Ben.
And you're at the fire.
This episode, we're going to speak with someone who joined us a couple episodes back, a guy by the name of Jack. He told us about the story of...
his run-in with his hometown satanic cult.
Yeah. Yeah, that episode is called Cults. Check it out. It's real. His story is very, very creepy.
Yeah, and luckily for us, it's not the only creepy experience he's ever had. When he was in film school, he had the opportunity to visit one of the most notoriously haunted locations out in Colorado.
Yeah, if you've ever heard of it, it's called the Croke-Patterson Manor, allegedly named after Croke, the guy who had it built, and then Patterson, the guy who fucking lived there or something?
Yeah, so here's the whole legend. Here's how the story goes. Thomas Croke, he had the mansion built for his wife. He went in there one time, did one walkthrough, never spent a single night in the mansion. So he sold it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, he kept the property for a few years, but then he sold it to Thomas Patterson.
Okay.
And he lived there for quite a long time, but I think his family was plagued with tragedy in that home. Suicides, dead child who allegedly was buried in the basement and her skeletal remains were dug up. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but that's one of the rumors.
Right, and I don't know what the classification is. You have a house, you have a mansion, you have then a manor. I don't know, really. Maybe the next stage is castle.
I don't know, but
I don't know.
You gotta Google this place.
It is gorgeous.
It's amazing.
It is enormous. Also, it is a work of art. It is this Croke fella. He definitely put a lot of time and effort and money into having this place built. And I couldn't imagine walking through, let alone like having a house built.
Right.
Or like leasing an apartment and walking through, be like, I got a sublet. You know?
It's something that us millennials will rarely know. But so like I said, the person who first lived in it, their lives were plagued with tragedy. But over time, the building has actually been made into a dance studio, actually offices. And when they were making them into offices in the 1970s, the story goes that the builders working on the projects would come back to work the next day and find some of their like projects that they've completed to be completely undone and ruined. So they actually started putting guard dogs on the property to deter any nefarious characters. And they came back one day and 2 of the guard dogs had jumped out of the 3rd-story window and plunged to their death.
Yeah, it's just a building steeped in very bizarre and morbid history.
And Jack was crazy enough to stay there one night.
Yeah, he was tasked with a project for his film class when he was attending college. And him and his buddy got the bright idea, let's make a paranormal mockumentary, but let's shoot it inside the Croke-Patterson Mansion.
And we'll let Jack take it away from here.
One of our assignments was to do we had to do like a short-ish documentary for class. They also said mockumentaries were accepted, which I'd much rather do. So we were going to make fun of ghost hunters, right? Because like, as film students, you can kind of see there's wires you can key out to pull a door shut. I mean, they got sweeps weeks, they need ratings, so we like to bag on them a lot. But I also like paranormal stuff, so I'm like, well, let's shoot this mockumentary and show like us basically duping audiences, and that'll be our project. And so I'm like, well, we should probably do it at a real haunted house to make it authentic. Let's just see if one of these people will sign a release. And so I literally just Googled top 5 haunted places in Denver. And not only did I find one that was in the top 5, it was in the top 5 in the country. And it was 2 blocks away from my school and 1 block away from where I lived. It was on the same street. I walked there by it every day. It's like this huge sandstone mansion. It's really pretty. We go up there, we just walk up there in the middle of the day, just 2, and I mean degenerate looking college kids. Like, we didn't look like someone you could trust like at all. We were just 2 19-year-old idiots. I knocked on the door and this woman answered, the owner of the house. I was just like, hey, we're doing a school project. Would you be cool with us just shooting in here? And she's like, because we figured we'd get like a couple hours. She was like, you guys can stay the night. And this is a single mom of like triplets just inviting 2 strange men into her house. So we were just like, all right. And so we walk in there. She's like, you want the tour? And we're like, yeah. She started describing to us the history of this place. She's like, oh, a mother of 3 killed herself on this floor by basically creating mustard gas. She killed herself and her children on the 3rd floor. And then the little girl murder happened in the basement because they found her behind a false wall like decades later. This girl was a skeleton when they found her. She wouldn't go on the 3rd floor of the basement, by the way, and neither would her kids. She would just stay on the 2nd and 1st floor. But I went up to this 3rd floor, and you could just tell it was hard to breathe up there. It was really weird. But then she was also yelling at me from the bottom of the steps, like, hey, go in this room and check out the window. And there was this window, like, next to the turret room, and it was cracked. Like, it was cracked all the way down, like a fracture, if you will. And I was like, why is that like that? And she's like, oh, these Doberman Pinscher guard dogs jumped out the window and committed suicide in this room. And me and my roommate are looking at each other like, holy fuck, like, this is for real. She did warn us that, like, if we were going to bring cameras down, like, the spirits or whatever there would turn them off. And we're like, yeah, whatever. So we went and got our equipment. We flipped a coin on who was going to stay in the basement, and I lost that one. And then the flip side was he had to stay in the room where I think her husband committed suicide or something. Someone up there. There was a lot of suicides on the 3rd floor. So he was staying on the 3rd floor in what she called the gold room. It was this room that was like painted gold. But I guess her husband or ex-husband, whatever, was like a big game hunter. Because he had all these like stuffed like tigers and bears, cheetahs and shit. Like it wasn't creepy enough without that stuff, you know. So he had to stay in that room. Like, so I went down to the basement and set up my camera. Like, and this basement was huge. You're talking like 4,000, 5,000 square feet. It was kind of a maze. Like, picture a house on Haunted Hill, like in the basement. I had my night vision on, right? Because the lights down there flickered. Like, everything in the house flickered while we were there. It was really weird. But the basement was poorly lit anyway. And so you could open up the iris on the camera and just, I guess, try to shoot it as dimly as possible, which would look like shit, or at least in night vision you could make stuff out. So basically I flipped all the lights off in the basement and just sat in a corner with this camera. And I guess I should tell you, the walls in that basement, she had a bunch of medieval armor suits, like just for decoration, like lining the walls of this basement. And I was sitting at the end of this hallway with night vision on, like just wigging out, you know, just sitting there in a corner. I heard what sounded like a big rubber ball being bounced, like down one of these hallways. I didn't know where I was or like whatever, so I didn't know the layout. So I'm just sitting here, like thinking maybe it's one of her kids down here fucking with me, but that would be weird too. So I didn't know what to think. I was about to have a heart attack. My night vision picked up what looked like a kid bouncing a ball. And I had to have my camera plugged into a wall because she was right. They kept turning off our camera, so I had like no maneuverability at all. It was just on a tripod. Like, I couldn't take it anywhere, because if you took that off, they'd turn your camera off. They'd turn any electronics in the house off, your phone included. So I had no phone. We had walkie-talkies, but like we were getting all sorts of interference, maybe because I was in the basement or whatever. Because I was trying to like radio my roommate, like, hey, I need to get the hell out of here. I picked up my camera, was trying to find my way out of this, like, and not look like I was in a panic, even though I was, because I was scared as hell. The whole time, you know, I'm just seeing out of the corner of my eye things standing up next to me, but you look over and it's those medieval armor suits, you know, and they still scare the hell out of you. You know, you expect some eyes to come popping out of there or whatever, but as I'm trying to make my way out of this, I hear what sounds like a raging party going on upstairs, like loud as fuck. The camera picked up the music too because it was so loud, and I had a pretty big mic on it. But it was like, it wasn't contemporary, it was like swinging music. And I'm like, what the hell is that? You know, so like I'm following the music, and that led me out of this nightmare basement. So I run up the stairs, the first floor, nothing's there. And I should preface this also by saying, before we set up and started shooting, the woman who owned the house told me she liked to sleepwalk. So if I seen her like walking around the house, to not be alarmed. And she was also like, I sleep naked, just so you know. And that was also a really weird thing to say, but I did. I seen her, but she was clothed, so that was cool. She scared the hell out of me. You know, you're not supposed to wake them up, so I just kept keeping on, trying to make my way up to the third floor. The music just died out. As soon as I got up there, there was just no more music. And it didn't sound like people were jumping up and down on the floor. I made it up to my roommate, and he's like wigging out in there. Like, I popped up kind of on him, and he looked like he had a stroke. He was like, dude, you'll never guess, like, what I just seen up here, blah, blah, blah. And he told me that he also had the rubber ball incident on the third floor as well. And like the same exact scenario that happened to me before I even told him. He didn't get it on camera because he was in a room. Like, he heard it coming down the hallway up there and was wigging out. And he also was trying to tell me that these stuffed animals this guy had in this room were like changing positions every time he like turned away. And like these things were all posed in ferocious like manners, so I could only imagine like that scene from Poltergeist when that clown just keeps getting closer, you know. We lasted till like 5 in the morning, and we were like trying to pack up all our equipment, and every camera in every other room we set up was all turned off. We didn't get anything. Like it was turned off as soon as we left the room, even though they were plugged in. They were all turned off. Like not the switch, it just wasn't on. Like everything was turned on, but it wasn't on. And so we got nothing from any of the other rooms. I didn't say goodbye to that lady. That was the weirdest thing about it. Like, to be honest, like we looked at each other when she said you could stay the night, and I was almost like, I'm not gonna allow this. Like, this is like, I'm gonna be the responsible person here. Like, I'm obviously not a murderer or anything, but goddamn, you don't know that. I mean, we just had equipment, I guess, is that's why she believed us. I don't know. I wouldn't have invited me in anywhere. I never spoke to her again. She called me once, I think, afterwards and asked what the hell happened to us, but she wanted to see the footage. And that was like the last time I talked to her, but my roommate got a new MacBook, like 05, so that was, you know, when they were the hot item, and that's what you use to capture stuff on. We tried to capture the footage, and like the whole screen turned red and just crashed his computer, and this thing was like, I don't know, 10 days old. And he wigged out and lost it. He had all the tapes. He still has all the tapes. We never successfully captured that footage. If we did capture that footage, I got on night vision that looked like a little girl bouncing a ball down the hallway, like straight at me. Complete with the sound effects, like you can hear the ball. It looked clear, like you could see it on the viewfinder. You could see the girl bouncing the ball. You could see it. There was something there. Like your eyes play tricks on you, but the camera doesn't lie.
Thank you, Jack, for sharing your story. We're glad you made it out of that hellhole alive.
Yeah, and you've definitely inspired me. I would love to go stay there. And you know what? I can, because it's now a B&B.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
I know.
I mean, it's a great marketing slogan.
I mean, weirdos like us totally eat that shit up.
Right. Yeah, like we'd stay there for that reason.
Like, for sure. In fact, you know what? I challenge our listeners. If this episode gets at least 1,000 plays, we will book plane tickets and fly out to Colorado and book a room on the motherfucking 3rd floor.
Why? Like, I mean, so on the average, like, account, like, if this place came out of the blue and you were like, we should stay here, it's haunted, I'd be like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
You know? But having talked to somebody who had nearly spent the night there.
Yeah.
Like.
Not quite. We can't credit him that much.
They by choice, like Jack by choice left.
Right.
He was like, I don't want to stay here. One, you know, there's a family here.
And the woman seems kind of messed up.
She seems a little weird.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, Jack's a cool dude, but just inviting 2 strangers in off the street.
Yeah, I would feel weird about it too.
Yeah, uneasy. I don't know how I would have felt after that. I don't know if I'd be walking by it on my way downtown or anything. I'd probably avoid it at all costs.
Yeah, I don't really. Do you know anything about like what are some of the common theories about why places? Why would what makes a place like that special? Like, why not? You know, my house.
So, one theory is that because it's built out of sandstone.
Really?
Yeah. There's a group of people that believe that.
Well, the pyramids are sandstone.
Yeah,
Samstone.
Samstone.
Sam Stone. I went to school with him.
Some people believe that that type of rock is just a natural,
like a
paranormal conduit.
Yeah. Okay.
But also the home is really close to a place called Cheeseman Park.
Oh yeah.
And I might not have this 100%, so correct me if I'm wrong.
I know a little bit about this.
There used to be a graveyard or a cemetery,
It was
I
a
guess
cemetery
is the better
on
term.
the land.
And somebody had dug up all of the bodies.
The city hired people to do that.
Yeah, and one of the guys ended up like taking bodies for his
Doing God knows what.
Well, he told everybody he was doing like satanic rituals.
Oh shit, that's right.
Yeah.
He got hung in the town square.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm more inclined to believe that over the sandstone, but I don't know much about either.
Yeah, maybe there was some sort of like occult practice that enchanted
Damn
that
it,
home.
Jack. Stay away from these cults.
A cult and occult, not always simultaneous.
No.
Don't get that confused.
Okay, I'm not getting that confused, but damn. Well, if seriously, I'd love to stay here. And if you guys want us to do an on-site episode, let us know, tweet at us, send us a message. You can find us at our website at thefire.com. And if you have a scary story like Jack's, go ahead and submit.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. And I mean, Colorado would be cool.
Yeah, Colorado would be great.
It's not much of a different climate than here.
No,
a little warmer if you get out of the mountains.
Cold. It is so cold in northern Michigan right now.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's valid.
Anyway, thank you again so much to Jack. If you like Jack's story as much as we did, like Ben said, he did an earlier episode 21. Check it out. It's a story about his life growing up with a not-so-friendly neighborhood cult.
Yeah, and if you like what we're doing, it'd be great to hear from you. Give us some feedback on your favorite podcast streaming app or website.
Yeah, and if you have a Twitter or Instagram, you can find me on there at _the_fire, and on Instagram, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Sometimes I tweet some cool things that we're doing with the podcast.
And I just can't be bothered to get on social media at all, so you can't find me there. But like Jill said, email us at admin@thefire.com, and you can talk to me there.
Or most likely me, because I'm the more social one.
Yeah, just ask for me by name.
I won't get offended. Big thank you to everybody who listens, supports, engages, shares. Oh my gosh, we have talked to so many amazing people, and we couldn't do this show without your support. So thanks for talking with us and being weird with us. We love you all so much.
Yep, we do the show for us, but we also do it for you.
And with that being said, thank you again for joining us at The Fire. My name is Jill.
And my name is Ben. We'll see you next time.
At The Fire. This episode's music was brought to you by Black Ant, Raspberry Tickle, Ruan V. Niekirk, U.S. Army Blues, Lee Rosevear, and yours truly, your co-hosts of At the Fire, Ben and Jill. You can find their music and more at freemusicarchive.org and freesound.org.
You're listening to the Screaming Pods Network.